first I'm going to create an horizontal segment like this. So this model will be a very simple geometric model, not really industrial. It's going to be a 4-bar linkage. It's presented here in this demo only to demonstrate everything that Nventive can do and how Nventive operates. So when I've created this segment, you can see here on the top right we have 4 degrees of freedom. When we do the functional drawing of a component, the goal is really to create all the dimensions and all the geometric tolerancing in order to lock all those degrees of freedom. So I'm going to associate to this geometry a fixed point and also a fixed angle. This has locked 3 degrees of freedom, only one is left. And then I'm going to lock the length of the segment with a dimension. So we can redefine this dimension at, let's say, 75 millimeters. Okay. Then let's create the 4 other segments of this 4-bar geometry. So we still have 4 degrees of freedom due to the new geometry I have created. We are going to dimension them. Okay, so when this is done, we are left with only 1 degree of freedom, which is the rotation of the 4-bar. So we can move the mechanism to see where the missing functional tolerancing is in the modeling. So we can lock this last degree of freedom using an angle between the right segment and the base, and then move this angle around to place it in the right way. So when this is done, we can see that we have 0 degree of freedom in the model. All the necessary dimensions have been created, and they have been associated with a lock sign. So the lock sign means that those dimensions are dimensions that are actually going to be produced internally. Those are actually input dimensions. So when we have finished this modeling and when we have 0 degree of freedom, we can also define the measurement that we would like to analyze. So often there is a measurement, a key measurement to deliver to the customer. So here I'm creating a measurement between the top point and the horizontal base. You can see that this measurement is different from the other dimensions we have created so far. All the other dimensions are associated with a lock sign, and this measurement here is associated with an arrow sign. So it means that this measurement is actually a deduced measurement or an output measurement, and all the other ones are input measurements. So it's very important to really make the difference, because input measurements are actually what we produce internally, what is our production responsibility, and the derived measurements, the output measurements, are what we are going to guarantee to the customer. So of course, if we change any parameter in the model, so if I change any input parameter, for example this angle, you can see that when we rotate the angle, the only dimension that is changing is the one that is deduced. All the locked input parameters are staying the same. Okay, so it's also possible to change the way the model is constrained. It's very important in functional design because it allows to test quickly some different dimensioning scenarios. So we can, for example, unlock this dimension and then lock this one. So now you can see this one is an input dimension and this one is an output. So when we change the angle, you can see that the new deduced dimension is changing, and this one is now behaving as an input. So it allows, when we do the functional drawing of the different components, to quickly switch from one dimensioning scenario to another. So then on each of the input dimensions, for example on this one, so you can see I have switched back to the initial state of the model. The output dimension is this one. So on any locked dimension, if you click on them, you see here on the left are displayed its tolerance information. Right now this dimension is associated with a tolerance of plus or minus 0.25 and a process capability of 1. So we can override that. We can say we have a tolerance of plus or minus 0.35, for example, and still capability of the process of 1. So you can see when I do that, it's changing here in the dimension. And if I want, I can go back to the default. And when we are in the default, the tolerances are not displayed in the sketch, but they are actually taken into account. Just like in a drawing, in a part drawing, all parameters with default tolerances, we do not see their tolerances. So default tolerances can be defined in a default tolerances interface, which is this one. And then, well, when we have defined this simple geometry here, we can, for example, select this deduced dimension and say analyze tolerance. So this generates in Excel a tolerance analysis report. This tolerance analysis report gives the worst case values here, minimum worst case 108.09, maximum worst case 109.11. And then the statistical case here, with a target CP of 2, it means we are looking at the plus and minus 6 sigma. So minus 6 sigma is 107.97 and plus 6 sigma is 109.23. So in the bottom of the report, we access here the list of what is called the list of contributors. So it means each dimension in the report is actually a contributor to the variations of the analyzed dimension. So this dimension here, we can call it, for example, rocker, and say that its length will be 100 millimeters. So you can see when I make the change of the length, the change actually appears in Excel and also in the geometric modeler. Second change, this angle here, we can put it at 45 degrees. Third change, this length, we will call it, let's say, lever, and put it at 135. This one can be called based, and dimension 75. And this one can be called crank, with a dimension of 25. So every time we make a change in the Excel part, the geometric part actually updates, and all the results are also recalculated. So if we look at the results we have now, we have 98.24 minus 6 sigma, 99.43 plus 6 sigma, which is a relative variation of plus or minus 0.59 millimeters on the output dimension. So if we look at the list of contributors, you can see for each contributor we have the contributor name, we have the contributor value, we have the process capability, tolerance value, sensitivity value, and percentage of contribution. So percentage of contribution is actually the overall weight of each contributor. It means it is the overall importance of each contributor. In this column here is something very important. It's what is called the sensitivity value. So the sensitivity is really important in preliminary design because actually the sensitivity has an impact, a squared impact on the statistical variations. So what is the sensitivity? What does it mean? Here the sensitivity for the dimension of 100 is 1.14. So what does it mean? It means that if we change the dimension of 100 by 1.14, by 1, sorry, if we change the dimension of 100 by 1, the impact on the output dimension will be 1.14 millimeters. So the sensitivity is simply a ratio of variation. So if this dimension varies by 1 unit, the output is going to vary by, let's say, 1.14 units. So in preliminary design, sensitivity is very useful because the engineers have still, in this preliminary design phase, all the necessary freedom to make the functional drawing of the components so that the sensitivities are minimized. And minimizing sensitivities does not involve changing tolerance values. So it means it is a way from preliminary design to do the thinking of the functional drawings in a right way so that the sensitivities are minimized as much as possible, and it does not cost any money to do that. It only costs some correct thinking from the person who designs the mechanism so that he or she finds the right design. So here, for example, if we go on this design and we go on the dimension of 135, we change this dimension from 135 to 125. You will see the change here of sensitivity on the value of 100 and the recalculation of all the report. Okay, so on the dimension of 100, the sensitivity has gone from 1.14 to 1.01. And if we look at the relative plus or minus 6 sigma variations, we were in the beginning at plus or minus 0.59, and now we are at plus or minus 0.5. Okay, so by only making this type of small changes on the functional drawing, we can find a design that reduces to the maximum the variations. Of course, it's also possible to go then on the tolerances on the main drivers and reduce those tolerances. So here on this one, for example, we can say instead of plus or minus 0.25, we enter plus 0.1 and minus 0.1. Okay, so at every step, as you have seen, the report is recalculated, and also the tolerance value in the sketch gets updated. So it's also, of course, possible to change the process capability. If we cannot touch the tolerance value, we can still increase the process capability. So go from a capability of 1 to a capability of 2. And when I do that, you can see everything gets recalculated. So it will improve the quality, it will reduce the variations, but of course all that has a cost, because increasing a process capability means implementing a more strict statistical process control. So this is all for this first short introduction about the statistical optimization capabilities. As you will see in the next demonstration models, there are of course a lot more that Nventive can do in terms of complex contacts, forces, torques, frictions, taking into account thermal expansion. So this will be presented in more advanced models. Before we finish regarding this 4-bar introduction, we also wanted to present the fact that, well, so far in this demonstration example, we have only modeled some dimensions, linear dimensions or angular dimensions. It's important to know that Nventive actually has an internal architecture, internal innovative architecture that allows to do in an easy way some quite complex geometric tolerancing, and to actually analyze very quickly and very effectively those geometric tolerancing schemes. So, for example, we can define a reference A on the horizontal segment, a reference B on the second segment, which is at an angle. And then we could say, for example, we have a hole going through this 4-bar. Okay, so I'm moving a little bit this hole towards here. And I'm going to say this hole should be located according to A and B. So this creates two framed dimensions. And a location tolerance associated to the center of the circle. So the center of the circle should be located in a disk of diameter 0.25, which is positioned using the framed dimensions in relation to A and B. So we can also define the diameter of this circle and change its value oh sorry, so to 10. Okay. So this is for one example of geometric tolerancing. A second example would be to try to put this face here of the component perpendicular to the reference A. So I'm going to create it right now to try to make it perpendicular. So this should be perpendicular to A. You can see I'm trying here to create the perpendicularity tolerance, and the system says here I'm not able to create this constraint. So why is it not able? It's because currently in the model there are 0 degrees of freedom. It means the functional drawing of our component is totally finished. We have already associated everything that is necessary to define this component. If we add something else, it will be redundant, and if we remove something, it will be not enough information. So it means to be able to create this perpendicularity tolerance, we need to unlock something. We need to unlock here, for example, the angle of 45. So this creates 1 degree of freedom, and then we can create the perpendicularity tolerance between A and this face. So the ability to prevent redundant tolerancing is very important in Inventive. Very often when we work with industrial companies and when we take their drawings and reproduce their drawings in Inventive, we find actually that their drawings are redundant. So there are multiple ways to interpret one functional drawing for one component. So Inventive allows to solve that, or to at least to detect that and ask the question which way of tolerancing is the one to use. So here we obtain the perpendicularity tolerance. Next thing, we can create a tangency dimension between this circle and this line here. So this creates a tangent measurement, which is a deduced measurement. And right now you can see it is 15.626. So one thing we can do to illustrate how the geometric modeler of Inventive works is to select this perpendicularity item here and then to perturb it. So to apply a variation to it that simulates what would happen if the component was produced and if there were actually some real variations. So we select the perpendicularity, we say the amount of perturbation will be 3 millimeters, so it's much bigger than the tolerance value. And then I'm moving here the cursor to see what it gives in terms of perturbation. So you can look at the dimension of 15.626 when I do that. So it's moving the 4-bar device according to the perturbation that I'm applying. And you can see we are nominally at 15.626, and then we move to 14.761, and if I move down, we move up to 16.97. So this little perturbation here allows to show that we are actually perturbing all the functional drawing of the component that we have created. And the system is able actually to do the mathematical perturbation of the output tangency dimension. So this perturbation proves the way the internal architecture of Inventive works. The internal architecture of Inventive is entirely math-based. It means all geometric elements are modeled in Inventive using equations. And when we create an Inventive model such as this 4-bar device, we actually create internally a system of equations that is constantly being solved. So this type of perturbation, if we had to calculate it manually, it would take a lot of time. It would take several hours and maybe several days. Here in Inventive, the benefit is that we are actually able to model this type of complex tolerancing schemes in a very short time, and in a way that is very intuitive and very easy to understand for designers and engineers.